Hello and welcome to a New Catholic Generation television pilot review. I'm your host David, and I'm here with Renee from Reborn Pure, Ned from Parables of the Film Industry, and Mark, not Joe.
Yes.
And it is a special thing that he is not Joe because he has just, with this panel, usurped Joe for the most regular panelist over the past 8 panels. He's been in 7 of 8. Joe is the previous record holder with 6 out of 8.
Mm-hmm. Eat your heart out.
I didn't know that it was
Mark is our most regular panelist now.
I didn't know we kept track of so meticulously. Anyway, I haven't watched TV in 5 years, so tonight was an interesting experience. We only watch Netflix movies these days. We haven't caught on with the millennials yet. Anyway, so we went back in time a little bit and watched a TV episode, I think they're called, correct? Yes. Okay, yeah.
This is basically a short film, but it works as a pilot for a TV series. It's called The Shepherd. It was directed by Dallas Jenkins, who previously did The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. With this film, he's partnering with VidAngel, and they want to produce basically a long-form television series focusing on the life of Christ, but also on individual characters who run into Christ throughout his life. So they want to humanize the world that Jesus lived in. And The Shepherd is the story of a shepherd and meeting baby Jesus as their first example. So what did you think?
I liked it. I don't know how much it works as a TV series because there's so much of it that we don't know about the life of Jesus as he grows up. And they were the way that they pitched it, they were like they wanted to make it like an in-depth of like him growing up, and there's so much of that we don't know. But as a standalone short film, I liked it. I thought there were parts of it that I really liked. I laughed at some parts that I'm not sure that I was supposed to laugh at.
Are you talking about the comment about the Pharisees' inheritance or will?
There was that one, and then there was...
That's why your grandmother left.
Yeah. There was a bunch of jokes, and then there was like moments where I was supposed to, I think, be feeling some kind of emotion, and I'm just like, why is the music on? I really want to hear what they're saying. And so, because the scenario that they're in is so crazy and ludicrous that I'm just like, I really want to know how they're explaining themselves to the situation. If you want to give this a realistic expectation of, or a realistic version of the story, tell us what they said.
I guess it's sort of an artistic choice because the scene you're talking about, everybody's in slow-mo and they're like, oh my gosh, wow,
Baby!
I guess it's almost like trying to give you the impression of, can you imagine what they could possibly be saying?
No, and I want to know what they are saying.
Yeah.
Mark's like, what are they saying?
I definitely agree with Mark. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was beautifully shot, very beautifully shot. I love the music that was in it, and something that I did really admire about the direction and the characters was that they were very real. You know, you can be sitting in those conversations and like join in and be like, huh, that is funny. Because that's why your grandmother left you. I love that line. But that was just, that was probably my favorite line in the whole thing. But yeah, so it just felt very real. And that is something that is greatly missing from a lot of Christian-based movies, whether or not it's biblical epics or whether or not it's normal Christian films in general. It doesn't really feel like real. It definitely feels like very staged in manners of speaking in a lot of Christian films. So there are a few that are really good and that actually feel realistic and real, but this, I really enjoyed it. And honestly, I kind of hope that there is more eventually.
Yeah, me too. I liked it a lot. And like you said, there are some Christian movies that are way more staged sounding than this one was. This one was, it's still a little bit, perhaps, but it got me thinking about how close it could have been to, like, a documentary-style movie if they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
If the actors were a little less dramatic, but that's just not the style they were going for, and I saw that. So they kept it to a narrative that was pretty, you know, play-by-play, character-by-character, and not just, like, a swarm documentary feel. But it could have been, like, in a way, and I think... It just got me thinking about that so much that it means it did a good job at being more realistic than staged.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
The music was pretty good, except the track they played during the angels appearing. I thought came in a bit too loudly or something. It was a bit too electronic-y sounding instead of like, I don't know. I didn't like the track they played.
I thought that was the only part that was like a little bit off. In
well,
some
it was
manner
because
of
we
speaking.
couldn't see the angel.
Maybe that
They didn't have the budget for
They
it.
didn't have the budget for
I just
it.
felt it could have been a little brighter in the scene. And they could have used a different song that, or even no music. I was like, I might even be more into it if it wasn't like an actual song playing during it, but more like just like a hum in the
I
background.
actually like the
of
color scheme
angels.
of the angels.
Like the colors and stuff were fine, but maybe just a little brighter.
I mean,
Something that wasn't bringing me into it as much as I could have been.
I mean, when I saw the color scheme of the angels, I'm so sorry, but the first thing that came to my mind was, so this is what the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey is like.
Them fighting words. Not nearly as trippy as that.
Oh, nowhere near trippy.
Just minor criticisms for something that you said is going to be a whole TV series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like that was the film itself. Like, they're filming a lot of
Yeah.
these on the
It's
lower
very-
budget. So, I'm like, it's...
Yeah, it's very, very, very minor complaints. I still think it was very well done.
So, with this film, I had seen several posts on social media saying like, "Oh, this got me to think about like the story of Christ's birth in like a whole new different way." And I was looking for like what possibly could that be while watching it. And I think what that message is that Christ, as we know, is for all nations, for all races, for all people. But in this film, the dichotomy that was really emphasized is that Christ is both for people who are wealthy and people especially who are not so wealthy, who are poor, who were looked down upon in society back then as being part of the lower caste.
Yeah.
This film was about how it was the shepherds, not the Pharisees, not the high elders, not the snobby priests, who were the first people to see Christ. It was the shepherds.
Yeah, it definitely felt far more grounded in reality compared to a lot of other like productions of the birth of Christ. Like even in like a very recent movie, The Star, the shepherds were very clean looking and so on and so forth, and like even in the movie The Nativity, the shepherds, although weren't like super like nice looking or anything like that, they still looked maybe a little bit like too nice, too clean from what I remembered anyway. This is like the first example where it really felt like, no, these are like, this is nitty gritty. This is more like what things were like more like. And I really appreciated that a lot.
To me, some of the dialogue you guys were talking about, that it was realistic. I thought it was a little too modern for my taste.
True, but that somehow tapped into my realistic side of my brain. I don't know why.
It's a hard
relatable to the modern audience.
Yeah, it's a hard balance. I think when you're making a film about historical past, you have to include some sort of modernness. I mean, they're speaking in English. That's the biggest one. They didn't go full Passion of Christ and have them.
I was going to say at the beginning of the video, dear Dallas Jenkins, this is not how people actually talked out during those days. They actually talked. There was no English at all. Actually, that language did not exist at all during those times.
Are you channeling the cinema snob?
I am indeed. I am indeed channeling the cinema snob.
But kudos, because that's how they look.
Why are we texting each other like this on a non-existent
I don't really know, Renee.
I don't know. To me, the dialogue kind of felt a little too modern, and at certain places a little too forced. I mean,
There were some parts, yes.
I think the point of that is I definitely agree.
like the last line.
Yeah, yes. I think the point though was I think like the point of like this short and for hopefully the TV series is. I think it was still, even though it was very modern, it was still well written, well acted, and executed. And
Yeah, the acting definitely saved a lot of the dialogue, but it was still something that I was just like, it could have been like better.
Yeah, I think once again, kind of getting to the point. I think the point of it sounding a little bit modern was, as Renee said, it tapped more into the realistic aspect of the brain, where it's like us as modern audiences can get in there and identify with these low lives basically, and because in the eyes of Jesus, well, not in the eyes of Jesus, but we look at ourselves as like unworthy of Christ and all that, and we just look at ourselves like we are just like these. Like very similar to what they are. And I think the point was for us as modern audiences to look at that and be like, yeah, I can be like that, kind of thing. I definitely understand that the dialogue maybe should have been maybe a bit more in tune with the times, but maybe with with a little bit of not modern lingo, but
I was going to use that word lingo, and you said it first.
Woo!
But I definitely get what you are talking about, and Dallas Jenkins even mentioned it in his promotional for the TV series of like, no matter how hard we try, we just can't be like, we can't really relate to Jesus. Mm-hmm. That's why he's going to make the TV series revolve around the people he interacted with, which I totally agree, and I totally get that, which is one of the reasons why Joseph was my favorite out of the Holy Family.
Yes.
Because
he's the most relatable.
Yeah, he is the most relatable, even though he said nothing in the entire Bible.
Mm-hmm.
If you would like to check it out, this is short / pod episode is actually available for free right now on VidAngel.com. We have a link in the description, so you can watch it for yourself right now. Mm-hmm. And they are currently promoting, they're fundraising, essentially crowdfunding for raising funds for the rest of the episodes. So
the test footage looks good.
Yeah, you can watch the pilot episode for free right now and see if you'd want to support it.
And comment below what you thought if you watch it. So,
yeah, I agree.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.
Fare thee well.